As always, we'll get started. No, it ain't. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't want to hear what they had to say.
Thank you.
That's, my brain ain't got started yet. So. Anyways, before we get started this morning, we ask Glenda to open us in prayer.
Dear Father God, thank you for letting us gather here today. Please watch over us as we make decisions for our citizens, guide our decisions and our ideas, and pray for those who are traveling for personal matters today. Keep them safe, and God grant them comfort. In your name I pray. Amen.
Good. Glenda, if you'll.
Certainly.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's see if I can get this thing fired up now.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to go ahead and call the roll?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is for quorum, of course. Ms. Bechtel?
Here.
Ms. Cookenbuck?
Present.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Booth?
Here.
And Mr. Turner.
Here.
Thank you.
We'll make Glenda
Always one of us.
Always.
Mr. Chair, if you'd like, we have a couple of quick updates before you all move in that might be helpful. First of all, wanted you to know that your ad for that has been submitted to the Floyd Press, and it reflects the 65% maximum rate change for real estate. No other tax changes in that. We had discussed, as you know, making some potential downward changes in machinery and tax. I'm hoping that you've seen in your folders, if not something from Lisa. If not, we need to make sure to get it in there if it's not there. But basically, I talked to Steve Durbin about that particular tax. You remember your thought was to lower the rate, but suspend the accelerated depreciation so the advertised rate was more reflective of what people would actually pay. In speaking to Mr. Durbin, it turns out that while selecting the rate of tax is up to you, the depreciation decision is up to the commissioner. And so given that I did not make any changes to that, since you were looking to potentially go down anyway, but you might want to have more conversation, but I felt like that kind of made me stop on making any changes there for you all. And she did say it hasn't, neither the rate nor the depreciation has been changed in quite some time.
Where would we find this letter?
Uploading it now.
Where will you put it?
Where would you like it?
I don't know.
Yeah, what did I?
Just under, you can put in the revenues.
Correspondence?
Or under the Commissioner of Revenue.
There you go.
Yep.
Folder, is that okay?
Okay.
That makes perfect sense.
In terms of the software discussion, we had originally scheduled for actually this morning to have a demonstration, but between everything that's going on, we will delay that, and we're hopeful the company can find the time to do a demo with us next week for about an hour. And we're going to, of course, make sure to include not only our staff, but representation from the treasurer's office and the commissioner's office. And kind of we've already shared some of the concerns have been shared directly with the company, so they'll be prepared for that. Other updates, some of you I know have had interest in the status of the Arpa Fund, so I made some updates this morning. I need to retotal it for you, but in terms of all the projects are in there, and once you start talking, I'll pull it up to retotal it for you. But what's now reflected in there in terms of actual awards that have been made, as a reminder, $100,000 for the Floyd Vatty application related to Citizens Telephone and the 1 gig, $39,000 to the Sheriff's Office for a one-time $3,000 hazard duty bonus. You recall those are both things you did very quickly. The Floyd County PSA, $878,543. Plenty, $17,000, which had to do with facilities improvement. Floyd Tourism, $35,000. Innovation Center HVAC, $12,098. Floyd County EMS, that's been committed, but we haven't expended it yet, $171,908. And that was at y'all's request that we hold on to that. Other Floyd County office workers, kind of the first tranche of additional premium pay for at-risk, $49,500. Then the second round of that was $46,500. And then this last week, you also approved $22,500 for the Virginia Tech graduate intern with the proviso that we see if we can find some additional funding to lower that from elsewhere if possible. But right now I have it as committed. But I'm not sure that totals correctly. I didn't have a chance to, so let me retotal it and refresh it, and I'll let you know about that. But they're all listed in here. And then the final item that I listed was EMS Rescue. As I mentioned, you have and it should be in your ARPA folder, an application for them for $785,000 for 2 new ambulances and improvements to the basement and a couple of other things. So that's the update on those items. And, related to I spoke to the chairman about this yesterday, sorry to go back, but related to the advertisement for the budget in the paper, we followed the format that has been used in the past. And you will recognize when you read it that there are some things listed in your budget that are not listed in that particular advertisement. That it's more, we're only required to do a summary. You've all put in something more than a summary, but less than a budget in its entirety, because of course, you have several hundred lines of budget. So it's the same categories that have been in there before. And the reason I mention that is because if you totaled up what was in each of those, they do not come up to the exact total. It's something less. But what you have as the bottom line for showing bottom line revenue, bottom line expenditures is what you all have agreed to. It's just what's above is somewhere around $2 million, give or take less. Because all those little line items were not previously included. Going forward, we'd like your permission to maybe change that and show you some different alternatives, but since we didn't really have the opportunity to do that, we didn't want to change anything, but have some thoughts about doing it a little bit differently in the future. And then the final thing that I have, which is unrelated to the budget, but still important announcement, is on Thursday at 1 o'clock, there will be a flag dedication, I guess is the right word. And maybe, Ms. Chairman, if you wanted to talk a little bit more about what you know about that, or I can, but I just want to make sure you all were aware.
The only thing I know is they want to start, 1 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And Congressman Griffith is going to give us a flag at Foo over the U.S. Capitol, and I think he's going to give one of town also. And they wanted as many people that would to be there and support him. And also in a minute, Jerry, I think's got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Back on the ARPA,
Yes, sir.
and forgive me if you mentioned it, but we pretty much decided to use 120,000 of that to buy a backhoe.
Correct. Let me add that. I will do that.
Unless
again.
something changed.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So let me update that for you all. And I'll update the total at the same time. Thank you for that reminder. Apologies. Kim, did you have anything? That's your staff update.
Okay. I do want to remind everybody that Kim needs to be out of here by 11 or as soon thereafter as she can.
Yep.
So we'll try to stay on point this morning and go individually like we've been doing. Seems like that works pretty good. So, all right, where do y'all want to start at? So, anybody got any specific thing they want to address, I guess?
Well, I went through the budget looking, and it's gonna make some tough decisions on the ARPA money. But there's several places in there where, like, we're buying computers or equipment that would qualify under the ARPA. And from what I understood from staff. Now, we've already got more requests than we got money. I guess I'd like to see us, if we could, look at that ARPA and look at the request and see, if we're gonna stay with the list we have, then we leave that other stuff in the budget where it's at, but
We need to cover what we're taking out, right? And,
Should we go to our offer folder?
well, I mean, let her update it, but, I mean, that was just a suggestion. I noticed there were several things in the budget that I thought would qualify, but to do that, then we're knocking something out.
Tough decisions.
And we're already gonna have to knock probably 100,000 out or better.
Yeah, for the backup.
Well, the request came in at 3.1, I think it was, so. And we're getting just a hair over 3, so.
Well, I mean,
Would you like to
How
discuss?
do you get that offer from?
Oh, I went through cloud, I think. And then up at your supervisor's packet. Try the April one, I think. See what comes up.
We'll go to the latest one.
for some reason I'm not able to get out, Chris.
Nope.
I'm like stuck in
back.
my,
Nope. Back up.
I can't get back to my
Sorry.
file.
It's all right.
What file are we under?
I want all of my files, like,
You wanna go back to where?
Shared.
that's it,
Let me
share.
see. All right,
Thank you.
Come here, Chris.
Chris? We're trying to get in this offer file here. How did you do that? So,
I don't know where the ARPA file is. Like,
It is a-
where in the file tree?
Let me back out and then I'll see where
It's an Excel file.
Yeah,
It's
in
in
the
a
Excel.
spreadsheet.
Okay,
And then down
There
here,
you go.
open.
all right,
Might need to hit it again.
all right.
She's updating it.
Thank you. So,
Yeah, because the numbers she was talking about didn't match what I had on my screen either, so.
Have you closed it out yet?
Yeah, I haven't
No,
opened
no,
it
no.
yet.
That just makes the phone go to sleep. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, there you go.
The other day I had to shut mine plumb off and start over before it loaded.
When it's updated, it'll say on the top.
It's still got April 15th.
While we're waiting for the
this one just
update.
says March 22nd, so that's not the right
It's not
one.
updated now. At
No,
the-
I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, while we're waiting, Danville made a decision last week about their personal property tax, and how to protect their citizens from this massive increase with the used vehicle values. And, increasing their tax relief rate on the personal property. So they're not adjusting the tax rate, they're just sheltering more of the value. Something to consider. I gave you, yeah, a copy right there. It's the brown and blue, just under your right hand.
Yep.
You're welcome.
They just did it for
Right, because they can adjust it
Fiscal year
every year.
22.
Being this is a city, I have a question, because they have different authority than us.
Yeah.
I know we set the tax rate, we found that out on the machinery and tools. Can we check with the registrar to make sure that if we consider this, that we have the authority to change the percentage, or is that on
Right.
her bailiwick, so to speak?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to jump in and do something there that,
What I can do is scan this to Lisa.
Lisa.
And then ask her for feedback, and if it's something that, we're able
We
to
can
do
do
at this
that.
level, or she has to do it at hers. Is
yeah,
that- Okay.
right. I don't want to step on her toes, jump in and do something that,
Right.
Sir, if I may, while Molly's talking, one of the other things, whether it's today or not, but just for you guys to think about, is confirming how we want to move forward with the health insurance. We have open enrollment coming up, and not only for budgetary input purposes, I can manage that, but we're getting a little bit close. Next week really should be the timeframe to roll out open enrollment. So, I don't know if you guys want to discuss it, leave it the way it is, move forward, and just so I can communicate with Angie and we can get that going. Thank you.
well, I went back and talked to some past board members. They weren't aware of how it's, they were
Correct.
under the same impression I was, that we were paying 85% of whatever premium was set, but that's not how it works, come to find out.
Right.
Under some, we're paying 100% depending on what plan they have. We're paying their premium and putting funds in a healthcare savings account.
I want that.
And, well, that'd be the smart thing for everybody to go to.
Right.
And I think one group we're paying about 90% of their plan. And forgive me, but the other group, it's 80, actually 80. So overall, we're paying 85%, but it's not.
On the average.
It's
Yeah,
not
on
fair.
average.
It's an average number of two plans together, two single premium plans put together, divided by 2 to obtain a static 85% number.
But,
So it's
but
that
in
number.
actuality, we're paying a dollar figure toward each.
Correct.
So, does that seem, and I'm asking this of all of us, does that seem like a fair and equitable way to do things?
No. It doesn't.
I mean,
I
on
don't
the
wanna,
surface,
I don't want to cause anybody any hardship. but
I agree.
From my perspective, from day one, we were paying a percentage of the premium. I did not
Correct.
realize it was a overall percentage.
Correct.
And I don't know that I ever had it explained that way until we got to looking at it.
Right.
And that's the first time it had been explained in that context to me, or it's the first time it
Right.
sunk in. I won't lay it off on
Right.
just somebody else.
But again, is that fair and equitable? I mean, I agree with not causing hardship, but if we're supposed to be paying 85% of everybody's plans across the board, and that's what we always thought it was, then we probably, I guess the question is, how does that impact your calculations moving forward for everybody? And what impact would that have on staff and,
Staff, it would be Angie and I.
mhm,
You know, we would just have to be real diligent in ensuring, you know, that we capture what plan they have and moving forward. Budget-wise, it would be going through the, you know, the people that have it. The two majority plans are the 80 and 90%, and there's, you know, majority. So it would just be, it would be tedious, it would take a minute, but once it's done, I mean, it's done for a year, as far as payroll and things of that nature. Budget-wise, you know, I wouldn't look for it till obviously next week, probably more towards Thursday, for you to get, for me to give you an accurate monetary amount.
Yeah, if I
And
might
if-
want to,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
one of the things related to that accurate amount question is, so if you change, of course, if you change the percentages, there is a possibility that folks would start moving, that would encourage people to move more between plans. So that would just be, recognize it would be a little bit dynamic. If you're gonna, for instance, start picking up, if you moved everything to 85% as an example, and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, there's, human nature would suggest more people would start potentially picking up the more expensive plan, because now you all would be paying for more of that. So we have a couple of folks that we know anecdotally probably would move. I don't know how many, but just to let you know, we'll probably, for that estimate, build in a little bit of assuming people would move, just so you have a good number to work with.
why would they move? Explain that to me. I'm not trying to sound.
Well,
I
if they're
just-
paying
They're paying a high deductible.
So if they're currently in a plan that you all are paying 80%, which is the most expensive plan, the
Gotcha.
premium plan, and now you're going to be paying, say, 85%, then that does give them, that means their payment is now 15%, not 20%.
Got it,
So it costs them, you know, less money
right.
and
in
For
the,
a better
yes,
plan.
and their
Yes.
deductible's lower.
correct. So, and that's, again, a policy choice for you all, but just, when you get your number back, it probably would be just, we'll assume just a little bit of movement there.
So
Because, again, we
inherently,
know
this
of at
won't
least
save
two
us money?
folks that'll,
Well, and also, there may be some movement, but from what I was looking at, it's gonna help, if the numbers I recall are correct, the majority are at the 80% right now, give or take. So if we're paying 85%, we're actually helping the majority, we're actually putting a little more into their paycheck.
There's approximately 35 people in the 80 or so percent bucket. There's 31 people in the 90.
31 in the 90, how many in the 80?
35?
35, approximately.
30. So we're about split.
Yep.
And what was it in the high deductible, 10,
See,
12?
but see, that's even, that would even be an inaccurate percentage.
Yeah.
Because you're paying 80% of the single
Mm-hmm.
premium. We're not paying 80% of the dual or
Family.
and/or family.
No, but that single premium goes toward
So 35 people.
the family plan, right?
31, say again, please. I'm sorry.
Like, say I've got a single plan and I'm getting the 80. All right, if I come in and I switch over to a family plan, what would have been paid toward my single plan goes toward the family plan.
But your
Yeah.
family plan increases because
Well,
it
yeah,
costs you
but
more
you have to
premium.
pay the rest of it.
Right.
Correct.
But I'm saying whatever the single is for whatever level, that is applied to the family plan if they have a family plan.
Correct.
But it doesn't of course, it doesn't cover it, but,
So 31 people would be getting the 80%. 24 people would be getting the 90%, and then those percentages go down as your plans change. Like there's 4 people in the first plan that have a dual or family plan, so it would help them extremely. And there's 7 people in the Key Advantage 1000, which again, they'd still be, no pun intended, at an advantage monetarily.
So when it all comes out in the wash, going across the board 85%, will it incur a greater cost for us?
It would be, I'm not sure greater, but there would definitely be an increase in cost.
Even though we'd save in other areas?
Yeah, I don't believe, just looking at this
Yeah.
in my very foggy brain, I don't think there's enough balance that, it would be a wash.
Right.
So I think there would be an increase in expenditure on our side if we did this.
Traditionally, things always look good when you're on a single plan. So when you
Yes.
jump ship into the family plan, that things start getting a little rough.
Yeah, it's dicey.
That's
So-
what kills the
And
officers
as
up
a
here.
the young people, it always, when you start getting a family is when you start losing
Yeah.
the risk of losing the people to go to somewhere else for better benefits, but.
Right.
well, see, that's why we've always tried to bid out and whatever.
Yeah.
The single plans are not that bad. It's the family plan costs that
Yeah.
So
skyrocket.
you gotta look at like your age of your county employees, sort of, if they're more geared towards that single plan.
Now we're getting.
As they get older,
Now
they're
we're
gonna
getting
start
into
getting family.
actuary, now we're getting into actuary territory.
So for example, on the Key Advantage 250, the total plan is $1,269. 85% of that is $1,078. We currently pay, not the new plan with 8%, we currently pay $549 of that. So when you go from single to dual, it drops, we're actually paying 50%
Right.
towards the plan.
Say that for me one more time. Sorry.
I know.
So, the dual, so a married couple, let's say,
In the 250,
in the Key Advantage 250 plan, because there's 3 options for each plan.
Right.
Which is single, dual, and family, so single married with children. The total for a married couple, if they were both to be on this plan, would be $1,269. If you do just quick math, 85% of that is $1,078, which would be our portion, 85%, right?
right?
Currently, we pay $549.
I still don't understand how this ends up happening.
Why is it? Why is
Well,
that?
We're not paying 85%, we're paying 50%
on the dual.
on the dual.
But that's because we're applying
Staff
that
member.
single,
Right.
no,
We're not covering,
We're-
only covering a staff
we're
person.
paying 85% of single plans
Right, across the board.
across the board is what we thought we was doing.
But we're not.
But we're not
Only the
actually.
single plan.
Just on the single plans. On the high premium one, we're paying the premium and putting the healthcare savings account for the people. The next level for the single, it works out to about 90%, and then,
I know.
on the 250 plan, we're actually paying 80%.
So So on the high deductible plan, as Jerry referenced, for comprehensive, $51 a month we're putting into a health savings plan. If you have the preventative high deductible, $68 a month are going towards the health savings plan. And they came up with that because plus they're getting, their entire 100% of their plan is covered, so they don't pay anything towards health insurance. But the difference, because the plan cost is $498, the difference of what we've paid for every other plan for that one static number, the difference goes into a health savings plan.
Which if you're a pretty healthy person, don't go to the doctor a lot, don't have a lot of problems, that's the way to go.
Until something happens.
Yeah.
Well, but if you've got that account built up to help some of the payments, you know,
It's a roll of the dice on
Or
that
towards
one.
your co-payments, yeah.
It's a roll of the dice.
That one is, if I might, Mr. Chair, that one's truly a catastrophic plan. So
Yeah.
it's designed for hospitalizations and those kind of things. I will say, while it appears this has kind of been a surprise, an evolution of a surprise to y'all, how this is laid out is kind of typical for the industry. It just may not have been what you all thought it was, but to pick a flat number mostly tied to covering all or most of a single employee and then applying that flat number across the board is how that is often done. You all, of course, can do whatever policy choice you'd like, but just, that may be how it ended up that way.
I'd like to see how much more or what the actual, as things are right now, we know it can change, but as things are right now with the little cushion, see what number we're talking about compared to what we're paying.
Yeah.
Okay, at every plan, if I want to make sure. I
85%
understand.
of
For
each
every
group.
plan, for each group, okay.
Each
And,
Per
each single.
Does that include the high deductible plan, health plan as well?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have been paying, okay, I just want to make sure. So every plan we have, 85%, no matter what category, single, dual, and family.
Correct.
No. On the single plans, because whatever we pay on the single plan, let's say we're paying $500 on the single plan. If they get a dual or a family plan, then you apply that 500 to those plans, right?
Because that's 85% of the employee.
Okay. So
Is
we
that
have-
not how you would do it, or would you apply 85% on a dual plan, the cost is so much? On a family plan, the cost is so much? No, I agree.
See, we're offering the insurance coverage 85% for the employee,
Single.
single. Which, right now, whatever that worked out to percentage-wise, we're applying that dollar amount toward the dual and the family.
Because we always pay for the employee,
Right,
right?
right. So it'd be just the single plan.
85%.
Yeah.
Okay, there's I'm sorry, I just want to make sure.
No,
There's
no,
three
you're
categor- There's three categories. There's the Key Advantage 250, 1,000, and the high deductible plan.
Right.
I'm taking the single value for those three categories of plans and applying 85%
Of
per
the
those,
premium.
of the premium for the
And see what
three
total number
categories.
we come up with compared to what
It's not
we're
going to be
paying.
that much of a difference.
Yeah, but the problem is, with the high deductible plan,
Yes.
They're gonna start paying.
because there's zero. Right.
Because
That's
I always
correct.
understood it when I had it, that they were paying so much on mine. But then if I decide to pick my family up, then that was on me.
Right.
You know, so when we move to a family plan, we still pay for what the employee's supposed to get, and the rest of them, that's on them.
Okay.
So nothing changes, okay.
No, we're just talking about the 85% of the employees' single plan,
Okay, okay,
those three.
got it.
So how do you calculate then 0 on 85% if you're in the single high deductible plan?
You pay 85% of whatever the premium is for
Yeah.
the single plan.
So, yeah, gotcha.
There's, and not to, just to show you the balance or the percentage in each plan. Like I said, there's 35 people in the Key Advantage 250 under the comprehensive. There's 31 in the 1,000, and there's 7 people in the high deductible. And then there's a preventative dental
735,
as well. Preventative with dental, there's 2 or 3, 6, and 2. So 250 is 3, so, you know, the high deductible plan would be a total of 10 people. That would be
10?
effective, 11 people, yeah.
You just said there were 7, and then 2 in the dental?
3 in the dental, my apologies.
Okay. It's like, that comes out to 9 for me.
Now, that includes those of us that's got, right, on the board? Is in that number?
That's what that would be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, everybody.
that would be up to you.
So 66, 73 people within our staff
Give or take, yeah.
are, yeah, on our insurance. Did you say they were high deductible?
That's where I don't know how I'd make it without it. Because Medicaid, Medicare ain't gonna pay for my meds.
High deductible, what
It's
was,
gonna get
what
worse
was
if
going on? We
something
put
goes away.
how much
Yep.
money
So
towards?
for the, if you see how it has comprehensive,
Mhm.
so with comprehensive dental, $51 per month currently would be going into their health savings plan for 7 people. Then if you look up below, it's with preventative dental,
Mhm.
2 people are getting $68 per month. It comes out to about $1,500 a month.
Well, and
Or let me rephrase, it would come out with the new 8% increase. It's about $1,225 in the comprehensive and about $270 in the preventative. So,
Well, like I said, it's not my intent to hurt anyone or cost anyone, but to get things in line with what this board thought and previous board thought they were doing.
And there's an equity issue here, being equitable.
Might be a good idea. Might get in something, I don't know.
Is it an option just to offer a flat amount towards insurance for each employee?
that's what we have.
That's-
If-
That's
what
that-
we have
That's
right
what
now.
85%
Oh, okay,
was what
okay.
we thought we were doing.
Okay, so it wasn't a percentage of, it
No.
was a
No, it
flat
just worked
amount?
out to overall percentage
Okay.
that's 85.
Okay,
But we're actually paying a flat amount across the board equal. And
Some was getting somewhat.
right,
And it was 549.
It was 549.
wow,
Yes. So,
right.
So here's, if you look, this is current. I know, sorry for the scribble, but that's Jerry's.
so the flat amount, if I might, Ms. Chair, is $549 a month that you all are contributing to everyone who participates in any of the county plans. And that worked out to be approximately 85%.
over,
right.
overall cost.
Overall of a single plan, but the amount, the dollar amount, to
Was a
your
flat,
point, is a
okay,
flat
okay.
$549 a month.
So if they chose wisely with their plan, they were a huge
The
advantage.
proper way to say that is we pay $549 towards every plan.
Right.
Not
A
85%.
percentage.
Not
Right.
85%.
Towards your
Right.
insurance.
Right,
Yeah, because if you look at that one, it doesn't have a percentage at the top
all right,
on the title part of that.
all right.
See how that could get confusing?
Getting ready to say, I'm glad they're
Under the
doing it.
impression you were getting 85% of your
Right.
insurance, but didn't make a clarification if it was it's a single.
Yeah.
I have that back.
And we do have quite a few, as the numbers suggest, quite a few employees like myself who don't take advantage of the health plan
Right.
because
Yeah,
we have
better plans
better
somewhere else.
options
Yeah.
anywhere. Yeah, I pay $350 for the year to be part of TRICARE for Life
Right.
for all three of us.
Yep.
So
Wow.
you'll never be able to beat that.
Has that
Y'all looking to
$549,
adopt?
has that number adjusted every year, or has it stayed the same for several years of what the county pays?
It stays the same, don't it?
That 549?
It would.
Is that just-
it-
I
no,
mean,
it
has that been the
changes. Like
same?
this year, it'll be 590.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
It just goes in line with
increased.
whatever
Yeah,
the
it's
plan,
the
Right.
increase.
And, well, it goes with whatever the,
insurance costs.
local choice increase or decrease
Right.
is.
That's where that percentage gets confusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so local choice went up 8%, so we had to realign with how we were currently, computing that number and realign that, so it changed from 549 for that number to 590.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which changes everything in
On the payroll side.
So if we did that, it wouldn't be. So approximately, it would increase in the one plan, the 250 plan, approximately $2,611.
What would increase?
that eight.
Our employer
Contribution.
contribution.
Okay.
So, because if I took the single plan times 85%, it's $633 instead of the number
Five
extracted,
ninety.
instead of 590.
Right.
So if I minus 590, we get
Sounds like part of that 3% raise.
times 31, yeah, so it's about $2,000, give or take. And again, I'm basing it off our current, so any
Sure.
enrollment changes would obviously change in fluctuation with that.
Right.
Well, our costs go up and the employees goes up a
In
little
some,
bit as
yes,
well.
in some, absolutely.
Right.
So how long have we been paying the 85% of that?
This flat 549 or whatever it was over the course of the years.
I mean,
When I came on in 18, we were paying 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we increased
Then
it.
we talked about going to 90, but we settled on 85, so I'm gonna say since 2021, no,
Might have been 2020, actually.
might have been 2020
Yeah.
when we raised it from 80 to 85.
Yeah, I think we did.
Because that was one of the things that Justin was really pushing. was
Yes.
The insurance. And
Yes.
Well,
it
to help
was.
with the
Yeah.
cost, yeah.
But that, it's just another form of giving somebody a raise, is increasing what you cover
Right.
for their health insurance.
Right.
That's the way it always works.
Right.
Yep.
Get a raise and your insurance goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
It's
just
part of
sitting
the
here
plan.
thinking, all these insurance companies has got somebody sitting there figuring out if these companies, if they
Yeah,
get this
actuaries.
percentage raise, we gotta raise. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what actuary is.
So, they just stay in the head of the game. So,
Statistics majors.
same coverage. You still have to have approval before you have anything. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I will get that prepared for next week, and if I get it beforehand, I will.
Finished in ARPA?
I'm not updated.
So that's out of our spreadsheet file. There's just this county ARPA grant.
I
Oh,
guess
no,
I'll
that's the grant
have to go out
application.
and close it and reopen it.
So there should be an Excel spreadsheet
Yeah.
that says County ARPA grant applications and potential projects recommendation April 19th, 2022.
Yeah.
Mine just says just now.
Approved and recommended March 2022.
What's wrong with you?
And I went into the spreadsheet option.
And it should say on the first line, also approved and recommended April 2022.
Yeah, mine still
Yeah.
says,
Yeah, mine still says March 2022.
and I had closed out.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go back, go back out if you would, under the budget folder, and then under ARPA. Just hanging out there, not under spreadsheets, just hanging out there. Sorry, is an Excel spreadsheet that says county ARPA grant applications,
Yeah,
and it's
got it.
dated today. That's the correct
Mhm.
Yeah,
one.
so, no,
Am I coming in right?
no, go to your, yeah,
This?
go to
Yeah.
there. And what did that one say? That one says March, so let's move out of there. Move out of there,
You gotta go spit
and then
back,
right there. That one,
Oh, okay.
it's the one hanging out.
hanging
Yeah,
out there.
hanging out.
Not in a folder.
Yeah, there's the 120.
Yep. So, if you'd like me to walk through a little bit more here. So again, on line 5, you have that 100,000 awarded. Line 6, the sheriff's office, 39,000 awarded. And line 7, Floyd County PSA, 878, 543. And that's awarded, and then at the time, you all had said, put kind of a placeholder in there for the second request.
Hold on, Linda, you're, the one that was hanging out there, I don't have lines. It's all in a nice, yeah, it didn't open up in Excel. Hold on.
Mine didn't open in Excel either.
Huh? Oh, yeah, there it is. Got it.
Okay,
All right, now we're better.
okay.
More better.
More better, okay. And then, line 8 is plenty, 17,000. And those checks have all, that whole list of checks have all been written. The money's been transferred, money's out the door,
Through line 8.
through line 8.
Click on
Then the next two, of course, were some of those premium pay, and those were subsumed in other totals lower down, so that's why there's not a number there. Line 11 is Floyd Tourism, and you've awarded, and we've sent the letter and everything for 35,000. But the way we worked it with the town is they're sending us receipts for
Right.
that. So they've not expended the 35, but you've sent them a letter saying they have
Right, you have
35,000.
35, right.
The,
Do we know what they've spent so far?
she hasn't spent a lot. We talked about this about 2 weeks ago. She's now hired marketing, social media marketing group to help her a little bit, and that's where some of that's gonna go.
Okay.
And then, if I might, Mr. Chair, continue on. After Floyd Tourism, then you have that playground equipment line there. I had put in a placeholder of 78,000, but you'll notice that's in the recommended, not awarded. And that's not the whole ask. The total ask, as you recall, was substantially more than that, and so the thought had been to do the amount that we were quoted at the time for the equipment itself as a recommendation, and then get private contributions, hopefully, to supplement that. But again, that's not included in what you've actually written a check for yet. Next is the Innovation Center HVAC. I'm pretty certain that's been expended. $12,098. Line 14 was Floyd County EMS, and this was funding to help do the new schedule. And so at the time, you all asked that we, oh, sorry, ma'am.
Is there any way for you to color code expended amounts? So, I know you say award to date, but if the check's been written, like with the Innovation Center,
Mm-hmm.
if that check's been written, if we've awarded it to date, like we know we did that with the citizens, like
Mhm.
put a color on that so we
Okay.
know when we're looking at things. You don't have to do it now,
Mm-hmm.
but after we go through all of this, if you'll That would be helpful to me. I don't know about anybody else, but that way I can look at this Excel and know, yeah, we've already written that check,
Can't pull it back.
written that check, we can't pull it back. Right.
Okay.
That would
Yes.
be helpful.
Sure, I can do that. How I had divided it, which is close to that, but not quite the same, but I can certainly change it. So awarded is you all have made some type of a proactive decision, a motion along the way. So there's been action by the body to do something. As opposed to if it's in that column H, recommended additional award. That was kind of, you all asked me to put in on a consensus basis, put in a placeholder when we were trying to see how much we had. So that's the distinction. So I guess you're looking for me to further subdivide the group that I said award to date as expenditure of the amount awarded, how much has actually been expended. All right? Can do that. So the Floyd County EMS, again, this was, I believe, Mr. Yoder's recommendation was to, instead of moving that to EMS, just hold on to that. And we can go back and talk a little bit about the EMS budget if you'd like. Then the next two are those office worker pay, premium pay for at-risk, and those have all been rolled out. HVAC, we had very, market originally gave us pretty high estimates to do a serious upgrade and everything, and instead what we ended up doing, given that we're starting to run out of money, is just to pretty much just replace the systems we have. Don't put the air purifier stuff and all that kind of upgrade. So that's the differential. It would still be nice, given the size of our heating oil bills, it would be nice at some point to look at improving the efficiency of these buildings. I do recall one month that we wrote a check for $10,000 for heating oil. So that can cover a lot of improvements. Then we go to 18, and of course, that's the original quote that we got from Munis, and using that as a placeholder, whether we end up using Munis or something else. You'll note that that is only in your recommended, it's not in your award column yet, as is the first year of paying for that. And you did, of course, commit to the Virginia Tech intern, and then the only other thing that you is, what, this is on the wrong line. Let me move this up. I added a line, I didn't. There. So the backhoe for solid waste is listed there as 120.
Where'd you put the back up?
In the wrong column, under municipal code update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I knew what she meant, though, so I was still counting it.
And municipal code is, you know, the muni code update is on another line.
Line
Because
up
that's
there.
Floyd County government, yeah.
Oh, no.
They're paying their tuition, but we
You've
gotta
got
pay for their expenses.
Floyd County government,
Like a
second
job,
column,
like a
first year
paid
annual
internship.
munis.
Oh,
That's why I said I wanna see
We
the
did
value.
22.5.
well, that's actually,
20,000.
okay, I'll make that munis so it's more.
22, yeah, I don't know what the, yeah, additional.
Anyway.
That's all right.
So the backhoe I moved up, I would have to refresh, but it's
Yeah.
instead
Yeah,
of the
it's
mini
No, it
code
actually refreshed it while we're in this.
thing. Okay, good.
I got a
Didn't
quick
mind,
question
but that's
on,
all right, I know what it was to
Thank
begin
you.
with.
On,
That's it.
on line 20 for the intern. They awarded the 22.5, but then in the next column for the additional recommended, what was the 20?
Sorry, the original they originally said it was gonna be right around 20.
Right.
And then when they sent us the letter said 22.5.
Okay.
It was
So it's not
around
like a-
20.
There,
Second,
no, in
a
fact, I
second
can
request
clear
for
that out.
future.
Let me clear that
Okay.
out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Um,
Gone. So what that means is in terms of things that I listed as expended, which is again, either checks written or you all have made a formal decision, you're at 1.492049. And in addition, if you add the ones that I was search for a better word, because earmark is not a great political word, but that's where I left it. So column H is another 1.721376 for a grand total utilized of $3.213 million, which is $159,000 over what you will have when it's all said and done.
That's not what we have. Hold on.
We've got total expended 1.492049. Then the next one's 1,741,376.
That's the, taking that 20,000 out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
that
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Cox
somehow
got.
not,
Well, it hadn't changed on that.
yeah, I keep on going out and it's still not changing.
Anyway, we're still above the 3,059,000.
Correct. Yeah, you're over by
Way over.
154,000.
Way over.
Yeah.
But that's request from,
Yes, and I should, yeah, it's not, that is not requested, that's earmarked at some point, because there's also another fairly large request in there that's not included in that total.
have we heard any more about the other infrastructure bill that they were batting around?
I did get an
Congress.
email from Mike Miscellany that asked if he could come speak to you all about where the PSA is. I gather two of you know more about that, but,
Well, he wanted to make a presentation to let the board know where we're at, what, we're doing, what we've done, and what we're trying to do, and just bring everybody up to speed on the same page.
Finding more grants that are out there from the
Yes,
state.
through the health department, there are some grants, and part of it is loans, but there's some talk that they may forgive those loans. We don't know all the particulars. But
PPP.
of the 873, a large portion of that was to go toward water improvements. And if my understanding is correct, and you correct me if I say it wrong, the grants and loans through the health department are strictly for water.
okay.
So what we would look at doing, if we get awarded something through them, then we would move out of this 873, the water over to it. And what we'd like to do with it, as long as it still qualifies, keep that 873, but move more of it back toward the sewer improvements.
So basically what we said was at the PSA meeting is we want PSA to be as transparent as possible because of the way we're trying to be more dedicated to clear record keeping, especially as it relates to our audits and whatnot, and especially with all of these increased funds. So even though we put those 6 projects that were, of great importance to the PSA, finding these water-specific grants through the health department then allows us to move things to the sewer relining or,
Or replacing,
or
or whatever.
replacing something, or whatever the case may be. But we, both of us, made sure that all of the PSA board members understood how important it is to come and talk to this group assembled, as well as being extremely communicative with you two, so that everybody's on the same page, because we're in this together, and we want to be it's not even about being above board, it's about just making sure that monies are spent where they're supposed to be spent for your record keeping, and that's really what it was about.
That sounds good. And if I might, so there's been a little of that already you'll notice that in 7H, it's around $1 million. You might recall the second tranche request from the PSA was actually a little bit more than that. And Mike and I met, and
Gotcha.
he felt like at that, and it's been probably a month at least since Mike and I sat down, but he felt like maybe we could move that down to about $1 million. But I know there's been more work and conversation then, and he has mentioned to me, he and I have talked since then about he's going to work on some of these grants, and
Yeah.
but we haven't had a chance to catch up about how successful
And they
it's
are,
been.
and they're working with Kurt and Profit to help that along. If I may add another point of, if you can freeze the top column so that as we're scrolling, that top column stays.
Okay.
That just is helpful because then I don't have to run back up to H
What
and
is
then run
that?
back down and then run back up and then run back down. It's just that little trick in Excel. Appreciate it very much. If we can do that with all spreadsheets like this, it's just, just a real handy tool. You don't have to keep going down. So in H, so the county's HVAC is now gonna cost, do I read this right, $250? To fix?
No, it's actually gone down to, you'll see in column H, the original bid we got, now it's been a while, so
Right.
it might go up maybe another 10-15%, is $49,600.
Okay,
And
that's
that's
kinda what I
for
thought.
these two buildings.
Right.
Um,
And that's not throwing good money after bad. And the reason I say that is, there's no sense, I mean, seriously, you know, I've never been a proponent of, especially given the availability of this money and the fact that it doesn't look like we're leaving this building anytime soon. Is that $49,600? Doesn't mean I'm not gonna have a discussion, but I didn't bring it up, Chairman. I'm saying we're staying.
I like Jerry when he goes, yes.
Is 49.6 just a big old Band-Aid?
It's-
Gauze wrapped around a Band-Aid. If I may
Well-
be a little graphic.
Thank you. It is replacing the ceiling, the units on top of this building and the next building with pretty much similar stuff.
Okay?
So.
Newer, I would assume.
Yes, so it will be
Yeah,
new.
it'll be newer.
It'll be new, so in that way, it is an upgrade, but it is not, that, it's just
And that's for our
straight
air-
up
right.
replacement. It's not, it doesn't have any of the special new, none of the upgrades like you did when you put stuff in at the high school, for example. None of the ionizing, none of that, and they're not necessarily particularly energy efficient, although they have to be at least a little bit more efficient than an ancient unit.
Yeah.
This one, you'll probably know, is the worst one over
Right.
here. And it rains and occasionally hails in the hallway over here in the
Right.
summertime. So.
That wasn't just yesterday.
So we could, we haven't priced doing a more significant upgrade. We've also,
And does that heat us too? Because you keep on saying the oil bill. I mean, do we actually use number 2 oil to heat this building?
we must, because I think, we certainly do for the courthouse.
Okay, so it's the oil, I think those heat pumps.
They might be heat pumps, but
Yeah,
at least
those
the courthouse and, I need to pull out the particular
Heat pump.
bill, so we can do that.
Heat pumps
We have
probably got
had-
a backup.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
electric.
We can, we've also, a while ago, started a conversation with, some of the folks like Johnson Controls that would come in and do some kind of performance audit, but we
Evaluation.
haven't really gotten to doing that, so that might be another option, is to look at either ones that help you pay for it out as savings, by having more efficiency. We didn't go down that path yet. Just
Well, that's
got
why I was
overwhelmed with everything else.
asking about I'd heard that there was still another infrastructure bill
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Congress.
there is.
And last I heard it was deadlocked and dead, but I didn't know whether it had been. But it was geared more toward transportation than, but it was my understanding there was some stuff that, for infrastructure outside of just transportation. And I didn't know whether it had moved any or not, but. Maybe that's something to ask Mr. Griffith before after he gives us the flag. Don't
There you
ask
go.
before.
There you go.
After.
Yeah, we might not get the flag. And this first year fee for a new system, what does that compare at 102,560 to what we pay now as a annual fee?
Well, we pay, so there's Bright, we pay, what did we figure, 660? We've been paying close to 60,000 a year now for Bright.
Okay.
The challenge becomes, and there's some other things that, after we learn more, there may be some other programs that other offices use that would also be subsumed, but I'm not certain enough about that yet.
Yeah.
But the problem is gonna be that since it's a long transition period, we would actually have to keep paying both.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
why I
that.
put it in here.
Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't questioning that. I was just questioning what's the difference between the two. So we're looking at a $42,000 increase or thereabouts.
But potentially lots
Per year.
of savings in
I
manpower hours, so.
I remember.
Right.
I remember. Yep, I'm just looking at
And
the figures.
auditing expenses for the ease of access.
More than 60? It's more than 60?
It's a little bit more than 60. Actually, this year, we're probably averaging about almost 83.
Okay.
So, because there's some à la carte stuff, if we've called and asked for anything, that
Yeah.
unfortunately, well, help desk or Angie needed additional stuff for taxes that we were able to do. So all the, in addition,
Fees.
à la carte fees
Yeah.
have become pretty challenging to manage. So, yeah, we're about on an 83 to 87,000 this year.
But-
Okay.
So
But,
maybe it'll be 10,000 over
but this 102 would cover all of that.
all of it,
Yeah.
all of it.
No manpower.
Yeah, and then you got the manpower part, because, they got their set fee for everything in their box,
That's
like
correct.
you said.
Correct,
Then, if you've got an additional, then that starts adding up.
right. So I think like when most of the companies that we spoke to, depending on the service, but it's.
It's hard to
everything.
compare
It's
apples and
auditing,
apples.
It's.
You really can't
You can't.
between the two systems. Maybe prunes and apples,
Maybe,
Onions.
maybe.
onions, maybe onions, because they make you cry.
Kale.
It's hard to compare
Rams,
the-
yeah.
with what you're getting
Yeah.
for the two.
Yep.
Well, really, from what I see in here, and this is just my opinion, I'll get shot when I go down the bottom of the hill, but, for me, the wiggle room is PSA and the playground equipment.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
for what I see here, for me, what the rest of it is funding and the needs, that's the only forgive the pun, the only play area we have is basically those two lines. And
You don't see any play in number 21?
give me I don't have 21 on mine, so where are you at?
EMS Rescue,
Right,
volunteer, ambulance, repair, basement.
that was gonna be my question. This funding for EMS staff, is this just gonna is just kicking the problem down the road? If we,
Well, I'm talking about the volunteers asking for $785.
Right.
785,000.
And just to clarify, to Ms. Cookman's point, so that number, you will notice, is not in any of the gray columns.
Right.
Right.
So,
That's not a,
at this point, you all
expenditure on the
have
bottom
not
line.
Where
directed
do you
me
see
to put it in any of the
Right,
gray lines.
Gotcha.
So this, in this
But-
white, it's just a request, but it's not. These two last columns are the
You're
ones we
down
need to
toward the
consider.
bottom of the second
Yes.
page.
Yes, because that's the
Oh,
last
there it
thing.
is.
Yes,
All right, so
Well, that's
that's
just a
talking
re-
about.
but Ms.
That was
Ms.
just some-
Bechtold's talking about a different
14.
mess.
Right.
Yeah, she's talking about
14.
line 14.
Right.
Well,
So,
how much do we have in our fire and rescue fund?
This is using a limited fund for a long-term care.
yeah, which I'm not wild about.
Right.
Well, no, but that's why I was asking, well, how much in our fire and rescue fund?
I believe if, I believe that's 170.
No, that's for the volunteer fire, that's their appropriation.
That's the appropriation, how much is actually, and I know it's on paper, it's not, because it all goes in the general fund, but there's supposed to be a set dollar amount for fire and rescue operation and maintenance.
That's in the budget.
That's that 1%. So that's
Yes.
what,
Yes, okay.
so in that,
Which we use to pay for EMS, we use to pay the contributions, but there's usually some money left over in that. It's not all totally zeroed out.
well, if you're 1 cent, if you're keeping to the 1 cent, and I think y'all correct me, because this is before me, but it's 1 cent for fire and rescue, is that right?
Right.
So if it's 1 cent for fire and rescue, 1 cent of real estate tax is $169,000.
Yeah.
The request from the volunteer fire that you have in your budget's $170,000.
But that.
So it's
that-
basically,
But it goes back
Carried
over
across.
history, and you have a running total. I know it's 169,000 each year,
Mhm.
right now,
Mhm.
plus whatever the additional personal property is.
Mhm.
But are you saying that,
Yeah, 1 cent personal property.
that money has been totally zeroed out?
Your personal property generates, I think it was around 12, 13,000.
13,000 a penny, and I forget, is it a nickel on it?
No, it's
The revenue on the fire. and
There was
rescue
something I was thinking we gave them 5 cents on.
But you see
That
what
must
I'm
be
trying
it,
to get
yeah.
at,
Mm.
there's a running total.
Yeah, I hear what you're
Because from
saying.
years back,
Are they carrying a positive
they're
balance?
supposed to be
Right, I
carrying
hear
a
what you're
positive
saying.
balance in that account unless it's been expended out at some point and zeroed and we're just in and out.
Gotcha. Well, and that's
Somewhere in
what
the
they've been
paperwork.
asking the last,
Right.
okay, there you go. So Kim's looking at,
So if I'm here, on the revenue side, the fire and rescue fund, is that what you're inquiring? We have it budgeted for 57,000 for the state fire fund program.
No.
no, that's
That's
the
the other
grant.
one?
So it's the
See,
bucket
every
that
year
170
there's
goes in.
Ah, okay.
See, at one time we had it at 7 cents and we did a budget. And then there was leftover monies that was carried, it's all in the general fund. I tried to get it separated,
Right,
but
we
never.
should, it should be separated
I never
out.
could, because that's how we got in trouble back in the, late 90s. Everybody, oh, we found $1 million. Well, they didn't find $1 million, that was $1 million that was supposed to, but anyway, it all got spent. But at one point in time, it was 7 cents. And what happened was, you had your expenses that year, then that built up, just like our fund balance builds up. And it's carried year to year. Now, I guess what I'm asking is it no longer carrying a balance? At some point, was it spent down to zero, or are we still carrying the balance in that area? If we are, then that could address the construction cost.
So if, again, my apologies for giving you the wrong information, but the 170,000 balance for the fire, the balance presently is 42,000.
In the fire and rescue fund. And that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
And historically, they have been taking out monthly on average. Yeah, so in the next couple months,
That's also including the 4 for Life.
correct,
So that's also including the
correct.
4 for Life, so that's all in that same fund. So the 4 for Life grant program plus the other funds you're talking about, the balance remaining today is 42. This printout says 46, but she printed it the other day, so they spent a little more money.
This is where Munis will help.
Yeah.
I can just see nothing but benefits.
Are
from
you
the
looking at,
system.
and are you looking at the audited amount, audit? Or are you
No,
look-
this is what we printed out of Bright, probably yesterday, David.
Yeah, the audit report would give you whatever it was as of July 1.
Yeah, June 30th.
Now, you don't have to do it right now, you know,
Okay. We can look at that.
but you see what I'm looking for? That audit will tell you what the total amount set aside for, and that way if there's any carry forward. And all I'm getting at is if there's money in that can be used for the construction, then I don't think we should use this money for that.
Right.
Right, I agree. Yeah, and I
For the
think that's,
171,908,
right, could be used from their carryover.
that's what
Right.
you're saying, for
Yeah.
Floyd County EMS to support the 24/7, 365 staff coverage with 2 trucks.
No.
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 it's
No,
the
no, no,
other
I'm talking about on the, I'm talking about the,
EMS rescue.
repair basement and
Yes.
other
Not like-
line,
785.
the 785.
But that's not in our,
But we haven't even put that in,
Right.
but
I know we
I
haven't,
did,
but-
but I did want to address it. I don't want to not address
No,
it.
but what I'm saying is,
Understood.
as far as construction or anything like that, if we have any money left over in that fire and
Bucket.
rescue fund
Right,
that's building up, then that's what that money was for. That's what the ordinance was put in for
Correct.
years ago, was operation and maintenance.
right.
And so instead of using this money, although we hadn't designated any, we could look at using that if there's a balance carrying forward, and forgive me,
And years ago, didn't they buy their own ambulances out of the money that they had? I mean, wasn't that how? Because there was,
well,
Am I
yeah,
wrong?
ambulances, fire trucks was all bought out of this money at one point in time
Right.
before it got knocked down to 1 penny.
yeah, okay.
And then, I can't remember, did we do lease purchase on ambulances?
No, your
I don't think so.
ambulances are
I
under
don't think
bond.
we did.
Yeah,
Ours
the
was a
ambulance is
bond.
at least for your paid EMS, that's what you've done since I've been here, are under the bond.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a long-term financing. The other thing, if I might clarify about this funding, is embedded in that fire and rescue fund is both the tax money you're talking about and also the 4 for Life fund. The 4 for Life fund can only be spent for volunteer-related activities. So while it could potentially
Yeah.
be used for some of those things, it could not be used to offset the EMS pay issues.
Right, right.
I just
Well,
wanted
wasn't
to
addressing-
make sure everybody knew that.
Yeah,
Something I
I-
learned last week.
And I wasn't going there with the pay part, I was just talking about the construction part of the request by the volunteer rescue squad.
But on the pay part, is that just gonna be a crutch to get us through there on that deal right there?
And I'm not wild about
Crutches?
doing one-time expenditures out of this if we're gonna have to come up with it out of our budget.
right, for
Down the
for
road.
salary, bonuses is one thing, but salary is something entirely
Yeah.
different.
It's just another easy way to get a raise and
Right. This Floyd Tourism, for the expansion and continuation, is this something that we could reconsider using the TOTS tax potential increase towards? Or is this an expense that needs to come before then? Just out of,
Yeah.
just a thing.
Yeah, if there was, I'm thinking through the expense side of that. So the amount that you all currently put in independent of ARPA pretty much covers primarily salary, benefits, and a computer,
Correct.
and that's about it, really. And so this part is used for more the outreach piece. So if you were to increase the tot, then that would certainly be something, I have to think, I need to check my report if we want to change that. I have a report due for ARPA at the end of the month about our expenditures. So if we're going to move anything around, I need to make sure what I submitted last time, and if we still can move it, we need to
Right.
decide before
Or
the end
this
of the
is-
month.
or This is just a one-time expense that we can then apply stuff to other
I think-
tourism areas.
Well, I think that this could be a one-time expense, or this becomes something that she uses. They're giving us checks, we've already said they can have this. I'm not opposed to raising the,
Right.
occupancy tax at all.
We can just apply that increase elsewhere than in
Elsewhere,
our tourism,
yeah,
yes.
in the
That's fine.
budget.
Just, yep, have to run those questions out.
Yeah, and Jerry, I hear you about the playground equipment, but, I've heard from a number of people in my district that are just excited about new playground equipment. It's just so due. Now, whether we have to do the Cadillac, and maybe we can settle for an Impala, sorry, Ford drivers, but, should I say Escort and a
I generally say
Torino?
Pinto, but.
Yeah, I know, we could do Escort and a Torino.
But,
Do they even make Torinos anymore? I don't think
well,
so.
I was just looking at it
That was a
from the
cool
standpoint, our budget right now is balanced with 13,000 in the stabilization fund. But that's with a 2-cent tax increase. And I'm looking at, what I was looking at was, and wanted to look at this to see where our wiggle room was,
Right?
relates back to what I was talking about, where I was looking through the budget, one-time computer purchases and that sort of stuff that could be used in this money could be used for, that would help bring that number down to where, with what if we give the sheriff everything he's asking for, and I'm just looking at, we go through and do some of the cuts that I'm talking about, we're still looking at $0.015.
I know that the playground equipment would be really, really nice. It's just the wants versus needs. And
But
it's
that's
hard.
needed up there.
It's wanted.
No, it's
It's not
needed.
gonna be, it's
No, it's
not,
needed.
yeah, it
There are
does.
children who play up there all the time, and there is really no real playground equipment anywhere else in this county that is centrally located for all sorts of different families. And when we have games up there and even just picnics, I know Jerry's grandchildren have used it.
How old is some of that stuff?
How's the
Virgil,
Is it the same?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing that
pretty
you,
much.
that you
That I
played
grew up
on.
on.
yeah.
Same stuff.
But it would be nice, though, that the 78,000 doesn't even begin to cover it anymore.
So if I might,
I was just looking at it from that perspective.
I understand, I
I'm not
understand.
promoting, I'm just looking at it, that if,
It'd be interesting to see what kind of equipment they're gonna buy.
Right.
Like she was talking about the Cadillac equipment.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
don't need Cadillac.
We don't need, like I was talking about the wellness center, we don't need what they bought.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I mean, they
exactly.
went high dollar, you know. Of course, that's pretty much individual, dues and
Yeah.
membership dues and stuff like that.
so the
Well-
78, if I might, is based on actual bids that
Right.
we got, or not bids, but quotes that we got. And it's based on, pretty much, they always have one set that's a special. And so that's pretty much about what the special runs, is at 78,000. And I'm not sure that all of you have seen that, but attached in the packet is actually that quote and what it all was. To your point, that just covers the equipment and the installation. There was also requests for, sandboxes and a bunch of other stuff. So that's the part that I had kind of set aside and talked to some other groups about, well,
Right.
if the county's willing to do this, would you all consider doing that? I will say to the maintenance issue, Mr. Booth has sent us up there more times than I can count in my 13 months to try to fix them. And we are definitely to the point of, they really just can't be repaired
It's
anymore.
that Band-Aid thing that
Yeah,
you were
we-
talking about.
We gotta take into
Some of it's really
consideration the
got to be
liability if
replaced.
some kid gets
Yeah,
hurt or stuff.
seriously. Absolutely.
It, well, I've talked to and had conversations with several of my citizens. They're not opposed to the 2-cent tax increase if we've done all we can do. They support what the sheriff's asked for and the first responders, and that's been pretty obvious in the past several years. The community is looking more toward that. So I was just looking at things to get what he needs, if we can bring it down from 2 pennies to 1 penny. And I know, none of us wanted to do it again, but
I'm getting the opposite feedback of don't raise, do whatever you can to not raise a single cent.
I'm getting that. I just basically chewed out today, but I'm used to him. He was raising Cain about his car. Oh, my old Cadillac went up this much, which it looks like a new one. He takes care of his vehicle. But he was laying it all on our doorstep. And I told him, I said, NADA is the one that raised the value of the vehicles, not us. He said, but y'all set the levy. And I said, yeah, we said it a year ago, before any of this came down the pipe.
Right.
Oh, okay. And his whole attitude changed then. So that's something we need to get across to him. We didn't up the levy this year and up the car tax. We need to make him understand that NADA changed the value of their vehicles. And that levy from last year come back to bite us, basically. And he informed me he was going to get a P.O. box in Carroll County, being he owned land up there, and all his stuff can come from up there.
Carroll County's gonna.
I didn't have the heart to tell him that it goes but where it's housed.
well, the 2-cent real estate levy is 338,000 and change, give or take.
This year.
And what we're talking bouncing around on the personal property is about 250, give or take, we're above.
Right.
So that's $500,000.
The personal property is before the NADA values increased, is what I'm understanding, that 300 is before that increase, right?
So it'll be
Did we ever get
more.
clarification
It'll
on
be
that?
significantly
Right.
Do it.
But the point I'm getting at, that's,
the revenue
let's say it's
for the
a
personal property, was that
$600,000 between real
not
estate and
reflected
personal
in the
property that
increase?
we've got to cut out of this budget
The personal
to get the
property.
zero increase.
Let's see.
Yes, so if I might, it reflects the estimate from last year that assumes the same, the historic increase in the base, and then it makes adjustment for the increase in rate that you all did.
So what's actually taken in then will be quite surpass what the revenue expectations are.
It could, there was, you all might recall, last year, there was already some increase showing last year. And so, but there's not been like an extra, 20% or whatever up adjustment because the NAD values went up because we kind of followed the conservative line of reflecting historic trends. So there is a possibility that it would be more. How much more?
Gotcha.
Don't really know yet.
Gotcha.
Because the bills haven't gone out. So it's a chicken and the egg. The bills have to go out, and then you see what you get back.
Yeah.
Right?
So have we heard, I know the sheriff was out of town. I remember you mentioned that last week. Any numbers on the animal control where we were asking about how often a call goes out, how often they've had to close, how often? I mean, I'm not trying, by any way, I think we've been extremely, I think over the years, this board has agreed with Sheriff Craig to bring our department to a level that was much needed for many years. And I think we have made a significant, well before it was the thing to do, we were already doing that. And I'm very proud of that as a member of this board, that we listened, and I'm very much excited about being able to put that 5th SRO on finally this year. We've been really struggling to get that done. I'm just looking at, the animal control aspect of things. I really think that 2 full-time and a part-time, until I see those numbers, I mean, that's a savings right there. 29,000, as I recall from last week.
But the only thing he's doing is he's upgrading, I guess you'd say, his part-time to a full-time.
Right.
So it's not really,
The person's already there.
you're right, yeah, and instead of working them 4 hours, he's gonna work them 8 hours. So,
Yeah, but it saves,
I mean, just,
Right.
And that's the civilian?
Going from the part-time status to the full-time employee with
Well, and you get
all the trimming,
insurance and, all the associated costs.
yeah,
that's where the
Which would we
29
come up
come
with 22,000?
29,000 savings.
in. I think it was
Yeah,
29,000,
that's what,
somewhere in that ballpark.
So if I might, as Brian and I traded some phone calls, and so the last one was, although there might be one in there for me this morning, but as of last night, I left him a message, again, kind of reiterating that really you all were looking for more data about the number of calls increase, and then also the number of calls out. So when they actually have to have somebody go out,
yeah.
and then if there's any way to figure out how frequently they have to have more than one person out. So that it requires two animal control officers to respond. So he was, I think, gonna see what he could come up with that.
Okay.
He was thinking what I thought would work out of the database seems like maybe not as easy as I'd hoped.
The new one
Well-
would be.
Well, his database,
Right.
he's got his own very complicated database.
it would be interesting to know that after they close, how many times they get called out,
Yeah,
and how much overtime maybe that the part-time
yeah, that's
person
also another,
is
Yeah,
getting.
now that's not figured into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do know they get called out during the night, like if they have a drunk with a bunch of dogs, and if they got a domestic and a bunch of dogs.
yeah.
Yeah, and,
UI.
Yeah.
The dog.
Yeah. yeah, yeah, that don't want the driver to come out of the car.
Right.
Yeah,
So if I might, it feels like there's a couple of staff follow-up items. So again, to continue to work with the sheriff about his animal control numbers, not so much the budget numbers, I think we're clear on that, but kind of the activity numbers, and maybe to, I think one of you all had also asked about kind of what kind of change has there been, because some of y'all indicated it feels like there's maybe been an increase in calls.
well, yeah, just, we want to know.
So that's that one. The playground equipment, I have a folder that Kim and I share that have all the ARPA applications in them. So I can go ahead and move that over to your budget folder, and you can look through those. And one of those is dated February 7th, grant application playground V2, January 2022. So if you would like to, when I move that, you can look at that. I can try to move it here in just a minute, or get Chris too. But that's where the quote is. It shows you what the $78,000 cover. That's just the quote. And then there's a whole bunch that Jacob write up about, if we could do all the other things, that's the other half.
Okay.
So feel free to look through that, and like I said, I'll get that moved right away. And then also to look again at the personal property tax, how much, and also what are, in addition to Danville, I thought I might follow up with some of our surrounding folks and see what they did, because y'all had asked earlier about just how do other people get this done so quick. So I see that as kind of a subset of that, if you all would like me to check some of those things out.
I'm also troubled, I'm sure we all have, I mean, I've sat there and just looked and looked and looked, and one of the things that I'm concerned about, are we underestimating CSA, line 749?
That comes from
Yeah, we
Chad.
I know.
we don't estimate at all that those, it's similar to the school,
Yeah.
you know,
She's in
they're
the
only as
budget.
good as the state numbers that they get, and they haven't got it.
Yeah,
So-
okay, so that's there. I'm just wondering, we're placing, 1,110,000. We approved 1,000,004 in '22. I mean, everybody's
Oh, wow.
pointing to COVID not
Gotta go in this
having
one.
been very easy on, children and the adults. And I just don't know if that might come back to, I know we don't know what we don't know,
Right.
which is what we don't know. I'm just kind of being a wolf crying in the night, going, oh no. And I don't know.
I can revisit it with Chad.
Yeah, when you get back.
Well, now,
Get a
part of
gut
that,
feeling.
I'm trying to get to it, what line?
749.
I'm almost there.
No, it's all the way down.
Part of that hope is with this Family First program.
I know.
And please get back with him on it, but I think the emphasis is
I know.
to try and get it ahead of time so that it knocks
Yeah,
the end results costs down, but
yeah, I just,
I don't know if it's gonna work, and it's all gonna depend on what the state.
I don't know what kind of priority there is on that program now. I haven't seen anything discussed about it recently. They're just trying to get in the same room and work together. Which is really
But I
difficult.
think that's why you don't see a drastic increase there is like we have in years past is because of that Family First program.
Yeah,
The resources being allocated elsewhere.
yeah,
It's
maybe.
more on the preventive end
Yeah.
than the other end,
Yeah.
which we're in a cycle, we're going back.
Yep.
We went through all those years of, well, we'll handle it at the tail end. And that's when we built all the jails and everything and stopped doing preventive measures. Now we kind of swung back around to the preventive, and it'll stay that way a while and it'll swing back other direction, so.
Mr. Jackson. So when will a decision have to be made about the personal property?
Sometime before June 30th.
Okay.
We have a little bit of time.
And actually sooner, because she's gotta get the bills out.
Well, not the personal property, they're not due
Well,
till
that's not,
December.
yeah, until December, that's true.
They come out in the fall.
Yeah.
So, now the real estate, we have to make a decision on
For
here pretty
June.
quick,
Yeah.
Really quick.
really quick.
So, and you do have your public hearing scheduled, for.
Next Tuesday.
Next Thursday.
Thursday?
Next
Right.
Thursday.
Right.
Board of Supervisors meeting on the
Okay.
26th.
Yes, so you have your regular meeting, regular
I
board
have it
meeting, the
every time.
26th. And that includes the 6-year road plan. And then on the
Okay, yeah, I got
28th is your public hearing for the budget and the real estate tax. And as I mentioned, we did not put machinery and tool on there at this time. If you choose to make changes to the permits, that requires an ordinance change, so we have to advertise that twice. So you do have permit discussion on your agenda for the 26th. And we'll have everything kind of cleaned up, those lines that weren't as clear and stuff for then. And then if that's something you want to move forward, then we would have to advertise that twice as an ordinance change.
Can we?
Do we have a closed session scheduled for Tuesday, the 26th? Okay,
Not so far.
okay.
Are we supposed to have one?
No, I was gonna ask if we could move it
We
earlier
don't have,
or first, so we can get that done.
yeah, no, I don't have,
Okay.
not brought
We,
to our attention. at this
Yeah, we
time.
can double
Just-
check with
just looking.
Ladina.
What? You
But
don't
I
want to stay
don't.
until midnight? Come on.
I
What are you
don't.
talking about? Jerry's been pushing for one of those. We got
I won't
close.
see a 3 o'clock one.
Yeah, I know.
See if I still got it in me.
As long as you don't get me home before 2, that's when I go to bed.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm gonna follow you. Great minds.
Are we going to take a short break here?
Yes.
Is that
I
right?
think you called for a
Okay.
short break. Camera's still on, so.
Hold on.
She shutting it down?
Thought she remembered.
Okay, Chris?
Oh, I need Chris's help. I got a little X. What is that?
It's this over here.
So,
Yeah, oh, there we go.
Now we are.
And if I might,
Mr. Chair, I believe, in thinking through the conversation, I believe there was maybe a question or a point raised by Ms. Bechtel that I failed to respond to, which was related to the EMS salary being in the ARPA. And you are correct. That was put in as a Band-Aid while we were trying to figure out what is it really going to take. And then hopefully less, but no promise that it would be less. So that's why there were 2 years. But you are correct. That is the one case in what you have now, that a potentially reoccurring expense is being funded out of a non-recurring source.
Which we would
So-
have to pick up next year.
Maybe. if you can decide.
20,
Possibly.
you can,
Or not
depending how
next
much
year,
it
but-
was expended, you have until December 2024 to expend the fund. So it would potentially cover, assuming that's enough money, however long the money runs, but we have until December of '24 to expend it. But January of '25, no matter what,
Right, but
that's where we are. So
Right,
I just wanted to clarify.
where I was getting at was if we go ahead and do that, say we go ahead and expend it in this next budget for what's there, then the following budget, we gotta pick it up,
Potentially.
Well, let me,
potentially.
yeah, can I ask a question on that? I mean, where are you, on that? I mean, how are we doing in terms of, give us dollars and cents here?
Yeah.
Can you? Do we
Yeah.
know?
Well, and we'll have, I'll have Kim, I'll look in here a little bit and we'll look in Bright in a minute. But generally, I think where we are is, the good news is, the level of overtime has gone down substantially.
Okay.
That was, well, I think what we need to see is how much we've expended of what they were budgeted.
So
But-
That would be helpful.
scheduling, and that is helping.
That scheduling is helping. Now candidly, a fair amount of management of time. Folks are no longer allowed to just come in and say, I want to work now. On the other hand, we've been trying to be a little bit tighter about trying to spread out the need for overtime. And so it's not all ending up in just a couple people's buckets. So that's been brought down by, I think this last month, at least a third. So that's the upside. The downside is, what that number represented, that 178,000, I think it was what we thought it would take to run 2 trucks, 24/7, 365, fully staffed.
Right,
The last part being the problem. So we are still
not full.
not fully staffed. We're interviewing 2 more folks this week. Hopefully that'll go well. We had some folks that moved to part-time who have now come back to full-time. And we had
That's good.
someone who is going to quit part-time, who tore up their paperwork to stay. So we feel like we've got positive movement, but we are still 4 to 5 staff people short. And so that's why we haven't been drawing down at quite the rate that estimated, because that assumed 16 full-time people. And we don't have that many.
But the bottom line is, if we're gonna have it, we need to be able to fund it.
Yeah.
Whether that be, I mean, we can't,
Consistently, these folks there's a large portion of the time, there is one truck and so they are running. I mean, when they're done with their shift, they are very done.
yes,
That
Oh, I
was
saw
something that I thought a lot about yesterday, because the last 2 days,
yeah.
they've got probably 6 calls for lift assistance. Somebody was down and couldn't get back up. And I was wondering, instead of running the ambulance out there, maybe they could have a litter vehicle that's got equipment in it, what they need if they needed it, to stabilize somebody to a
The only
big truck get there.
Kevin.
The problem with that is, if the little vehicle gets there and the person needs medical attention or
Right.
ends up needing transport,
Right.
you don't have the ambulance.
Well, that's what I was saying, they would have equipment in the vehicle to stabilize them till they got there. you know. I mean, the
Kevin-
big truck can be on standby, you know.
Kevin
But,
called it a
I mean,
gravity.
it's killing
It's a-
them.
Yeah, it's a lift team, you know.
Yeah,
just-
gravity, he called it a gravity team. Just,
Right.
that was what he kinda,
Does Skyline not have a lift program? Do they not
Yeah.
have a Hoyer lift?
Because two of them was down there.
yeah.
Because,
You would think staff at a nursing home like that.
well, they should
Well,
have.
yeah.
You have a oil lift,
Oh,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, but
seriously.
they're,
Not transport.
right. But
Yeah,
but-
if I mean, we would save money to purchase them a Hoyer lift and keep our crew from
The
having to go
problem
there.
is, if somebody falls, they get in the Hoyle lift and they've actually broken their hip. Or
Or-
if they,
Right,
or
but you're
it-
talking about a medically
Well, you would
trained,
think, yeah.
you know, convalescent home
not necessarily.
with licensed staff.
yes,
They've
They
got,
do
but
use-
they're, like with the volunteer rescue squad, they do what the attending, the, I forget, they've got a name for it, the doctor that they operate
Hospitalist.
under.
Right,
Like a
but they do have,
hospitalist.
they have licensed staff with responsibilities
know.
and training.
But that doctor sets the course of what that staff does.
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
But back to your point, you know, I can see somebody falling outside, row a truck. If they fail and they said they hit their head, row a truck.
Right.
But somebody just slid out of bed or slid out of their chair and they need help getting back up.
Yeah.
You know, them's the ones that I think they need something to respond besides these
We
big
need,
trucks.
well, that goes back to your dispatchers getting more information if
Right.
they can.
Yeah.
I've noticed
And
they,
taking it that the person giving the information
Right.
is being accurate.
because I know running that truck back and forth and tying it up and everything, you know,
Yeah.
just like they had that fatal wreck on 58 yesterday, just about time they got a couple of lift calls, you know, and,
And
What was that, fatality?
huh.
That was fatality.
Yeah, there was family from Ohio. The daughter was driving and they
No.
topped and they hit that ice.
No.
Didn't know it was sweet.
The nursing home is supposed to, they do have an ambulance service for transports.
I'm sorry?
The particular circumstance, I don't know how this person stands today, unfortunately, but the accident you were talking about, I wanted to give them kudos. So that was actually a truck with basic folks, so
Yeah.
our least certified, least trained people, but they managed to bring her back and get her transported. Now, I don't know what happened since then, but wanted to make sure, so thank you for reminding me that they actually were able to really assist her. And again, it may not, don't know what happened after
I
that, but
think
wanted
later I
to,
would-
because I'm sure that was traumatic, and those are, our basics are, for the most part, newer folks. So that was a big deal.
Yeah, that
Well,
was a
and
fourth
also
team.
some of the volunteers have been helping the paid staff too, you know, in some of the shorthanded situations.
Yeah.
Not,
We have
maybe not as
three.
much as we want, but they have.
They have been helping. Daniel's been very helpful about making sure tones go out to volunteers, and they've been doing more at trying to alert them earlier. There are three people in particular who have been very, very dedicated volunteers, to the point that one of them comes in when it looks like we're going to have a thin night and just stays the night in case they're needed, on a volunteer basis. So that's been really, really good. They've been very helpful.
Some of these
in that
people that's
regard.
getting multiple lift calls, I think they should investigate possibility of getting the courts to appoint them a guardian.
Well, we
Yeah,
are calling in social services to do kind of,
Yeah, but boy, they slammed, you know, right now.
I
And
know.
so,
I know.
you
How much of the budget that we had appropriated for 2022 of $1,278,018 has our emergency medical services used to this point?
She was deep in. Working on your health plan.
Oh, I see.
That's what she's been calculating over here.
Okay. I was just wondering where we're at on, we'll call it the end of, whatever, end of March. Or what do you have it through and into February?
Yeah, the next one would be through the end of March.
Yeah. I think while she's looking at that, as background for the newer folks, this and solid waste are two areas that at the end of the year, our predecessors would end up moving some funds to make sure that these two funds were covered.
Correct.
They-
That's why I'm
They were
asking
pretty
now.
much almost always over budget.
That's why I'm asking. Because this is around the time it starts going sideways.
It's E911 or emergency medical.
Emergency medical
Emergency
services,
medical.
that's our EMS.
Right.
On that solid waste, when we get on this budget fund, I think we need to relook at that ordinance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some things that need to be, specific wording that needs to be
Tightened.
added.
Tighten up.
Well, if I might, well, Ms. Cheeto's working on this, if you all could potentially send to me any things in particular related to that ordinance you would like us to look at, and then I can, as part of kind of planning, once we get through the budget process or have to take a General Assembly focused pause off of the budget for a little while, if you could get those to me. I know one of the things we were just, if you heard us discussing with Angie is, it's are providing roll-offs really something that we want to do, and are we doing a good enough job at it to make it worthwhile?
No.
Those kind of things, and if not, should we just tell folks that,
Yeah.
here's the phone number for a couple of private sectors?
Yeah.
Well, also, we've got some agreements, I know, are used to with Franklin County. And I don't know what status those are,
Yeah, where we
but
empty
those,
there
I don't think those rates,
Yeah.
that payment's not been increased if there is.
years.
I'm not familiar
We're
with the
covering
agreement.
part of Franklin County that's on top of the mountain.
Yep.
And
Can we
it
get,
seems like there was an agreement and Franklin County was
Judges,
actually
yeah.
paying us to
Part of mine.
take care of the waste of their citizens.
Yep.
Or
we got,
used to be.
we got a
Yeah.
little smidget of Patrick County that we need to look at too.
Yep.
There's somewhere, now I hope it wasn't lost in the,
Nothing.
I hope there's hard copies of it somewhere, but, and don't ask, because I couldn't begin to find it.
I'm just gonna say it'd be nice to start this process much earlier in
Well,
the
that's
year.
what I'd like to see it start in February.
Yeah,
What's that?
the budget.
Yeah,
This one? Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, but sometimes the department heads can't get it to us.
Well, even if we
during
just
that
start the discussions
Right.
between us.
Right.
I think, with the updated systems, you guys being willing to, the iPads, also myself was newer at the process and things like
Sure.
that. So the organization will be a lot, even,
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
more efficient.
Streamlined.
Next year and streamlined, that, we can meet earlier and you might find that it's not necessary, can make direction from there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So what, I found the, emergency medical services, what was
That's
the question,
correct.
please?
What have we spent to date of the $1,278,018? What's the percentage that has already been expended as of
75, there's 25.12 remaining,
25.12?
that's correct.
That's not bad, 25.12, and that's
But
as
that's
of
all
February or March?
March,
March, end of March.
through March
So that's
3/31.
about right on.
What's
right on
about
track.
right on, 75%.
Okay.
Yep,
Three
All right,
quarters
good.
away
because
from
they
the year.
got 3 more months.
Right, so that's good. All right, so that makes me
That's
feel
barring
But-
any
but-
unforeseen,
But
Right,
as warmer weather picks up,
yeah.
That's correct.
that's where you're gonna run over.
Overtime.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be more.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a request. Could I, when you do the monthly reports like that, Could I still get a paper to one of those?
Sure.
Just kill one tree?
Can't do two.
Oh, you can do.
See, I asked first. We'll share.
Every other
Actually,
page.
And
you
just
get
so,
one.
I don't know, sir, if it's, I've already uploaded the expenditures in your board packets. So they're already there for your review for next
Is that-
Tuesday,
Oh, gotcha.
as well as the agenda and any agenda items. So they're in there. So anything that I receive this week when I'm not here, I will ensure that they're uploaded by Saturday, Sunday, the latest, when I come back, okay? I don't believe there'll be any more, but if there's any correspondence or stuff that needs appropriately putting in, I'll do that. If you would, I believe I've calculated the numbers for the insurance.
Yeah, let us have them.
Is that okay?
Mhm.
That might be a good point to end on.
Yeah, so for April, employer participation, so employer cost was $43,287. That was our share of the current.
Okay, now what was that again?
$43,287
That's our share,
of the current,
Of current.
right.
and that's per month.
That is correct. That was April's expenditure premium for employer.
Current employees.
The total that was paid out was $61,531. That is employer and employee share together,
Got it.
okay?
61 what?
61,531. Now, if things remain the same and nobody changes or anything else, if these numbers are what I've had for the last couple months, meaning census-wise, our portion would be approximately $46,240, with paying 85% per plan for the single, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then applying that number to each one of those, that plan.
Correct, so we're increasing
So
by,
the Key Advantage 250 with comprehensive, the number would be $633.
Yeah,
The Key Advantage 1000 comprehensive, $557.
right,
High deductible health plan, $460.
right.
And then for preventative, the same, tier.
So basically, for $3,000 more, we can line it up to where we're actually paying 85% at each
We're at
level.
the best practice, we're paying 85% of the highest premium of that plan.
Yeah.
That's how you say it correctly. So
repeat that?
We contribute 85% of the highest premium of that plan. So the highest, 85% of the single,
Correct.
of the
Premium.
single, sorry about
The
that.
single.
The highest premium, yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
correct.
wait a minute.
So
That's
for
what I
3,000
wanted you to
more a
say,
year
yeah.
roughly,
A month.
I mean a month, excuse me. For 3,000 more a month, we could actually, we would have, that's to get it at 85 across the board.
Per
Plan.
plan,
Yeah.
per single premium.
Per plan, per employee's, single
So
premium.
You might want to add a little
Contribution to their insurance payment.
to that
Well,
case for
that's what I
dynamics.
said, the numbers, the census I have right now.
So
That's the
basically-
number, so if, we have 10 people that change around at the highest amount, it would be, it could be a difference of $5,000-$6,000.
Right, but for right now,
That's correct.
it would be $36,000 more a year, and we'd actually be paying the 85% of each premium on the single plan.
Yeah, I would recommend you consider putting maybe 40 in as your placeholder, just in case people
I was
move.
gonna say, if you're saying how many people would be changing,
I don't know.
what do you think? Just give me a pie in the sky. If you were to think of how many people might change.
Well, I think some of the changes would be, if I was gonna myself make an educated decision, I think a lot of the people would come out of the high deductible plans. Because in some instances, it's like a $5 difference and it's cheaper to get a lower
Understood.
deductible in another plan.
Right.
So that would increase our employer.
So that's,
So
if
you're talking
everybody
maybe
in that,
seven.
that would be
Could those
about,
7 in addition to people, I would say a good
10?
could be
10.
10.
I would say a good 10 if those people, you know, as we
Move.
educate people during enrollment, if those people change, and/or there's some people that would be a little flux in there.
I think 40 would be too little.
And we also have the consideration of the new SRO, changing the
census
animal
rate.
control, yes, the census, and the positions in
Yeah,
EMS.
So if for every 2 new full-time positions, we're adding.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
So you could
50,
put
40 is too low.
Probably.
46.
'Cause
I
what-
would probably
What was
say
those
50.
monthly numbers again that equivalent to on 85% for each plan?
It was $46,240.
Well, I mean, like right now it's that around 590 all the way across the board, right?
Right.
Yes.
So what is those new numbers, what is that?
So how much would the county be contributing towards
Each
each
plan.
person
If it was
for each
590?
plan?
No, it
No,
was
no,
590.
What's the new
It don't exist.
590
What's
for
the-
each
For
plan?
85% of each
Well,
tier.
okay, so for the Key Advantage 250 is 633.
Yeah, you already said
Yeah.
that, right. 633,
But then what was the
557.
numbers of then 557?
557, then 460.
557, 460. That's for the comprehensive dental, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
and then for preventative dental, which is different, 619, 542, and 445.
Yeah. Right
Sorry,
now it's
sorry,
590
Leva.
across the board.
Right now, everybody would get 590, correct? So the biggest
So
changes
that's
with
why
the
we
high
would change
deductible,
it.
the high deductible people would not be paid, it would not be 100%, and there would be $0 going into their healthcare plan.
Yeah.
But what is already there would stay, or
It's theirs.
it's there.
It's spent, no. Thank you.
So now we're at 50 grand. Well, no, we had in there 36, so we're increasing, what, 12? 13, 14.
Right.
It's the wrong direction.
Well, 14,000.
Say it.
And it may be something that we wanna revisit
I don't know.
next year, but
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
if we're
just-
gonna get equitable. I mean, you know, if we're looking at being fair all across the board, and we've tried to do that with our raises, you know, let's just, I don't know. Well,
Are we in a-
Economy's getting
You
tough,
think,
ain't it?
think we're getting
Yep.
to the stopping point?
well, I think so for Kim.
yeah.
If I might, we would appreciate some, we have kind of a list of things, obviously you want us to follow up on. Personal property tax, animal control, I'm trying to get all the ARPA documents loaded in, so you
Okay.
can see those. The skyline question, I feel like the solid waste question is not for the budget process, but just in general. And I think we got the rest of them. So if there are other things, let us know. Otherwise, we would be interested in what your thoughts are about a schedule from this point forward. You have your hearing on Thursday, and of course, after that is when you would have to set your real estate tax.
7 days after, if we're increasing.
Right. Do you all want to,
We need to, if,
Thursday morning, we will both potentially be gone
Correct. That's the 21st.
this,
For-
2 days.
I guess
Yeah.
for the insurance purposes, we'd have to make our minds up by Tuesday, wouldn't we?
Correct. It would be most helpful.
Yeah, but most helpful doesn't mean it has to be.
That's why I tried to preface, I didn't back you up. It would, there's a lot of employees that have to be contacted. There's a lot of
Right.
changes that have been made. So it would be beneficial for us if
Gotcha.
Tuesday, so we can start to get that out and then lock it in.
Right.
Plus, everything has to be inputted in the system and changed. Even if it's the flat 8%.
Sure.
We have to go back in and each employee, we have to add the difference in
Right,
all of
right.
that individually.
Yeah.
And then open enrollment has a closing
That is correct.
deadline.
And what is that open enrollment deadline, like May?
Correct.
Yeah, I think,
Best practice, they say to give at least 2 weeks. Best practice, you should give a little bit more. And allow
Yeah.
people for
Well,
vacation, decisions, newborns, all
Yeah.
that. We've got a couple.
Because you've got to get out to the people, this is what's happening, you have to make a decision,
That's right.
yeah.
yeah, I think we can.
And we're doing it a
I'll be-
little different than last year.
Yeah,
So it did reduce the time. So,
okay.
but it's still, it's person, time,
Yeah,
you know.
the more time they have, the better.
Do we dare meet earlier on Tuesday than 5 PM for our budget before a
I'm ready.
regular meeting?
I
Let's
mean,
just
I
pull-
could.
let's just-
Topics of the insurance.
Insurance and
We got a lot
just
to work
more,
through
yeah, we
still.
got still a lot to try and,
Go back,
Yeah.
we're not making the,
Whatever. Let's see.
I mean, what about you two? I'm
5
flexible.
o'clock Tuesday?
Tuesday the 26th. We're scheduled to meet at
5.
Yeah, and then have your regular meeting at 7.
Right.
We can order
Public
some
hearing.
food for y'all.
Yeah.
All right, and you want to come in at 5.
No, that's what we're
she's saying
scheduled.
earlier.
They're scheduled to come in at 5.
Maybe come in at 3
Let's just do
Tuesday.
it.
Tuesday.
I feel like we're pushing the envelope for hammering these issues out.
Yeah, we are.
We've been pushing it for a good while.
Oh, we've been pushing it for years.
And then we'll be able to possibly have an answer from the Commissioner of Revenue regarding the personal property tax.
Thoughts?
Right, and TOTS, yes.
And I think if we all really sit and soul search over the course of this next couple of days about the insurance, I mean, if we're making an attempt to bring equity across all
I think it's a good,
platforms.
it's a good start too, if we're gonna reevaluate the step system
Sure.
salary thing. To
That's
just
what I mean.
start leveling the playing field for
So,
every.
can you be here at 3?
It's a good introduction to that
Okay.
hard
It's
process.
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock on
Sounds like
Tuesday?
Great time.
And not this Thursday, though, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, this
Thank you.
Thursday, I'm going to be
I'm out of
busy.
town Thursday
Okay.
too.
Okay, good.
Oh, so that worked out for everybody.
So-
I also will say, I have some, just to put it on the record.
What is that date?
26th.
Coming in at,
26th, we're coming in at 3, right? Okay.
Yes.
Make
3
sure I
o'clock
got-
for a budget workshop is what we have, sir. And then 7 o'clock starts your regular meeting. And then on Thursday, of course, you have your public hearing at 7.
just, well,
If we come in at 3, we'll have to take about a half-hour break in between.
yeah,
Just sort of
get our heads squared away.
change gears in our brain.
Right,
What was
right.
that?
I said if we come in at 3, we have to take a break between 6:30 and 7, so we
Oh, yeah.
re-gear our break.
Yeah.
Did David Clark send any of that information we were asked for?
No, in fact, we sent him stuff. Kim sent him things.
If we could remind him, if we could get that early to see, the layout of the 6-year road plan like he had before, it really helped me. I could look at it and say, all right, this road, we know what this year's are, but then I could look at, third year's projected to be started and finished. If we could remind him to send that over so we could have that.
I think Kim's doing that right now.
All right.
We've kind of hinted, but we'll be more adamant now.
3 o'clock. This is our 6-year plan. Meeting two.
On the 26th.
It'll be a fun day.
And I know we only got 5
The
minutes.
6-year road plan and the expenditure forecasts,
Yes.
that's what they're
The,
looking
the forecast, road forecast, and, this is off budget, but real quick. Our comprehensive plan, when is it due for, okay. We
We-
need to encourage the planning commission to get moving,
Yeah.
and we'll leave it at that. I was
So-
asked about it, and that's why I bring it up, so.
So I've talked to Ladina about that, and so, as you know, there's also a subcommittee
Yeah.
under that. So our thought was that's part of what we plan to take up once y'all kind of get through the budget process.
Thanks.
Well, the subdivision subcommittee's still working, but that shouldn't have a whole lot of impact. There's a whole big area of the comprehensive plan that could be started prior, without that little piece.
You want to make a motion to adjourn so Kim can get out of here?
She's being very subtle.
I'll make a
over there.
motion to adjourn until our next meeting at 3 PM, Tuesday, April 26th. Follow, yeah.
I'll second.
Motion and second, call.
All right. Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Ms. Kuchenbuck?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you.
And you have one tomorrow morning?
Well, that and, Joe's aware, but they're, as a side note, they're planning to do surgery on my dad on Thursday sometime. So, we'll see. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So, well, I'll try to make it to the courthouse on Thursday, and no promises.
You know, I noticed, or not,